Since the Cold War, the world has imagined conflict as something fought with tanks, planes, and soldiers. But what if the battlefield has changed? What if the war is already happening, not on a physical front, but in our news feeds, our financial markets, and even our power grids? Today, we're diving deep into the shadowy world of Russia's hybrid warfare. So, what exactly is hybrid warfare? Think of it not as a single, massive attack, but as 1,000 tiny cuts. It's a strategy that blends conventional military power with unconventional tactics. We're talking cyberattacks, disinformation campaigns, economic pressure, and political manipulation. The goal isn't necessarily to conquer a country in the traditional sense. It's to destabilize it, to create chaos, to sow distrust among allies, and to weaken its institutions from the inside out. It's subtle, it's persistent, and it's incredibly effective. Let's look at some real-world examples to understand how this works. Remember the 2014 annexation of Crimea? That was a masterclass in hybrid warfare. Before the world even knew what was happening, little green men, Russian special forces without insignia appeared on the peninsula, seizing key infrastructure simultaneously. A massive pro-Russian propaganda campaign flooded the local media, shaping public opinion and creating a pretext for intervention. There was minimal bloodshed, but the result was the same as a conventional invasion. Territory was taken. The lines between peace and war were completely blurred. Then there's the ongoing conflict in eastern Ukraine. It's not just a civil war. It's fueled by Russian support for separatist groups, providing them with weapons, training, and funding. At the same time, Russian state media relentlessly pushes narratives that paint Ukraine as a failed state run by fascists, justifying their actions to their domestic audience and attempting to sway international opinion. This creates a frozen conflict, a constant source of instability that drains Ukraine's resources and prevents it from fully integrating with the West. But hybrid warfare isn't just about military action. The digital realm is a key battleground. Estonia, one of the most digitally advanced countries in the world, learned this the hard way back in 2007. Following a political dispute with Russia, Estonia was hit by a massive, coordinated government websites, banks, and media outlets were all knocked offline. It was a digital blitzkrieg that paralyzed the nation. While direct attribution is always tricky in cyberspace, the sophistication and scale of the attack pointed strongly towards a state-level actor. This was a wake-up call for the world, showing how vulnerable our interconnected societies are. And of course, we can't talk about hybrid warfare without mentioning election interference. The 2016 US presidential election is a prime example. Russian-linked troll farms created thousands of fake social media accounts, spreading divisive content, conspiracy theories, and outright lies. They didn't necessarily need to convince everyone of a particular viewpoint. Their goal was to amplify existing divisions in society, to make people angry, to erode trust in the democratic process itself. By hacking and leaking sensitive emails, they created scandals and dominated news cycles. The aim wasn't to pick a winner, but to make the entire system look broken and untrustworthy. Another powerful tool in the hybrid warfare arsenal is energy politics. Russia is a major supplier of natural gas to Europe. This gives it immense leverage. By threatening to cut off supplies or by manipulating prices, it can exert political pressure on European countries, influencing their foreign policy decisions. The Nord Stream 2 pipeline project, for example, was highly controversial. Critics argued it would increase Europe's dependence on Russian gas, giving the Kremlin another lever to pull. It's a classic example of using economic interdependence as a weapon. So why does Russia use these tactics? There are a few key reasons. First, it's cost-effective. A full-scale conventional war is incredibly expensive and risky. A disinformation campaign or a cyberattack costs a fraction of that but can achieve similar strategic goals. Second, it offers plausible deniability. Russia can always claim, it wasn't us. The little green men had no insignia. The hackers are just patriotic citizens. The trolls are just people expressing their opinions. This ambiguity makes it very difficult for other countries to formulate a clear and unified response. How do you retaliate against an attack you can't definitively prove? Third, these tactics played to Russia's strengths. While its conventional military has been modernized, It still lags behind NATO in some areas, but Russia has invested heavily in its intelligence services and cyber capabilities. It has a long history, dating back to the Soviet era, of mastering propaganda and active measures, which is just an old term for what we now call disinformation. Hybrid warfare allows Russia to compete with more powerful adversaries on an asymmetric battlefield. It sees itself as reclaiming its status as a great power, pushing back against what it views as Western encroachment on its sphere of influence. So, how do we defend against this? It's a huge challenge because you're fighting a multi-front war. On the cyber front, it means strengthening our digital infrastructure, improving cybersecurity, and fostering public-private partnerships to share threat intelligence. Countries are creating dedicated cyber defense units within their militaries to both defend their own networks and develop offensive capabilities as a deterrent. On the information front, it's about building societal resilience. This is the hardest part. It means promoting media literacy, teaching people how to spot fake news and critically evaluate sources. It requires a strong, independent, and well-funded press that can act as a trusted source of information. It also involves social media platforms taking more responsibility for the content they host, cracking down on bot networks and inauthentic behavior. But this is a fine line to walk, as it can easily stray into censorship. Economically, it's about diversifying energy sources to reduce dependence on any single country. It's also about using targeted sanctions against individuals and entities involved in hybrid aggression. These sanctions can freeze assets and restrict travel, making it harder for the architects of these campaigns to operate. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, it's about maintaining strong alliances. NATO has officially recognized that a hybrid attack can trigger Article 5, the Collective Defense Clause. This means an attack on one is an attack on all. Unity is the ultimate deterrent. When democracies stand together, share intelligence, and coordinate their responses, they present a much stronger front. The goal of hybrid warfare is often to divide and conquer, so staying united is the best defense. The nature of conflict is evolving. The lines are blurred, and the battlefield is everywhere. Russia's hybrid warfare is a long-term, strategic challenge that isn't going away. It forces us to rethink our traditional notions of security and defense. It's not just a problem for governments and militaries. It's a challenge for every single one of us. Being aware, being critical of the information we consume, and understanding that tactics being used against us is the first step in defending our open and democratic societies. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this breakdown helpful, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into global issues. Let me know in the comments what other topics you'd like to see covered. See you in the next video.